Hello, Vince. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ash. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I must say, you remind me of that movie I saw when I was quite young. You know, The Limitless, the guy from Limitless.
I
What was
used to
his
get
name?
that a lot. Bradley
Yeah,
Cooper.
yeah,
I
that's
used
the
to get
one.
that a lot. Now, unfortunately, now I get the guy from the 40-year-old virgin. I get him a lot now. I forgot his name. Steve something. I get him now. I don't get the sexiest man of the year anymore. Cause he was, when people were telling me I look like him, he was like voted People Magazine's sexiest man of the year.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
But
last
thank
time
you.
we saw, the last time we all saw him was in, I'm guessing it's Hangover?
Probably. It's been a while since we've seen him,
Mm,
right? It's been a while.
mm.
He hasn't been making as many. I know he lives in New York and he walks around and people don't notice him and stuff like that, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, great. Wiz, thank you so much for joining me today. Do you have a favorite quote, something that motivates you, inspires you, you would like to share with our audience?
Sure, I have a couple of them, but I can tell you one that I don't know if you're expecting is rich people spend money to buy back their time. Poor people spend time to get money. So
Mm,
I learned that from my business coach, Dan Martell. And basically the idea of that is you work a 9 to 5 grind and all you're doing is spending all your time just trying to make money, as opposed to hiring a virtual assistant, hiring an administrative assistant, hiring somebody to help you with ads, hiring somebody so that you could have more time to ultimately make more money.
mm. Indeed, indeed. When did you do Dan Martell's course?
I'm still in it now.
Okay, I did it in close to COVID, I think so. Yeah, close to COVID, when we were all locked up in the houses. That's when I did it. Loved it. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to US to meet him in person. I think he visited us in London a couple of years back, but it was not possible for me to go and see him that time. But yeah, amazing guy, amazing personality. Just love
Yeah,
it.
very
Yeah.
successful, very motivational. He's all about mindset,
Mm,
obviously business strategy and everything that you need to know with that. But at the end of the day, a lot of it just has to do with your mindset and the limiting beliefs that we put on ourselves. And if we could try to get rid of those, or at least learn to understand them so that we can surpass them, that's like sort of where the growth really happens. And then ultimately more money and more success.
yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. All right. So, Vince, imagine this. We are in a room full of ambitious founders, right? No one knows your name, no one knows what you do. You've been given a mic, you've been put on the stage. What would you say your story is, or a theme of your talk is, that these founders, hundreds of founders, will stick with us for the rest of the hour?
Value over revenue.
Mm,
So many business owners, many founders were always focusing on revenue. First of all, we're focusing a lot of times on the gross revenue, which, gross revenue, what is it? What is it? What is the other quote that I know is, a gross revenue is for vanity, profit is for sanity.
mm,
But when I say value over revenue is you should constantly be thinking about increasing the valuation of your business so that you could potentially sell it one day. I don't think I think you and I we're not the baby boomer generation, where that generation was a little bit different, where their job, their company, their business sort of defined who they are, who they
mm,
were. And even now to this day, we have a lot of clients that are, older, yeah, over 75 years old, and they're trying to sell their business because their kids don't want it, their employees don't want it, so they might as well just get out, and they want to retire. And it's very
mm,
difficult for them to sort of understand the concept of, what the hell am I going to do now that the only thing that I've been doing that's meant so much for me in my life, that defines who I am, is no longer with me. Where our generation, I think it's a little bit different. I think we look at it a little bit more holistically, and I would like to encourage more people to look at it like that, where our greatest investment is our business. Like, it
mm,
is literally 80% of our net worth is in the business that we run. We're always thinking about investing in stocks, or investing in a house, or investing in real estate, investing in all these things, where we don't think about how much of an investment our actual business is. Again, it's approximately 80% of your net worth. So what
mm,
that means is you should constantly be thinking about not just generating more revenue, but by increasing the valuation, you also have to look at making sure you've got super tight and transferable systems and operations. You should have a diversified customer base with recurring revenue and maybe a subscription model. You should have a great culture and good leadership and good teammates that again will transfer to someone else if and when that time happens. That could basically run by itself. And you should also have a good community presence, good website, good Google My Business reviews. All those things actually are worth approximately 70 to 80% of the value of your business. Only 20% or so actually goes, the valuation of your business, 20% of that actually is with the amount of money that you make in the business. It's the intangibles that are what increase the value and the valuation of your business so that you could ultimately sell that business one day in 5, 10, or maybe even 20 years for multiples.
Definitely. And I couldn't agree more with you on this one because, I mean, as we were sharing, my personal experience, we recently started creating. So I've been doing this podcasting for around 3.5 years, right? Done tons of mistake, right? Booking problems, scheduling problem, interviewing people who have zero time for getting interviewed, things like that. Learn from doing mistake. And recently, we created this new CRM where we started capturing video testimonials from our guests, right? And what we did is we made it so super easy for them that we send them a link. They literally click the link, click the start recording on the browser. It records their feedback, video feedback, click the send button, and it comes on our server. And on our server, we just see everything is okay, publish, and it's on the platform. That video testimonial brought me so many inquiries every day that I've never thought that it could be so much powerful. So I'm totally on board with you on like intangible things which we ignore usually kind of bring a lot of value into our business. So
I might want you to share that with me, that link or whatever it is that you use. I would love to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Sure thing. So Vince, let's talk about you then. Where did your story started? Give us more about Vince, what he is like. I'm eager to learn more about the person, right? Can you take us back to your roots and share with our listeners about your upbringing or your childhood? How did your early experiences shaped your journey and eventually led you to become the visionary entrepreneur you are today? And were there any key influences from your family or surrounding? Somebody like a rich dad, poor dad kind of arrangement there, right? And then which played a significant role in your shaping your entrepreneurial spirit?
My dad, for sure. It's definitely my dad. My dad was an entrepreneur my whole life. My mother was a guidance school, an elementary school teacher, guidance counselor as well. So, she was regular 9 to 5 school teacher, a consistent income. It's probably why it worked, right, for them, because, he always used to joke, and I joke with my wife too. It's like, you have to, I may have money one day, I may have nothing the next day, but don't worry, I'll get it back the day after that. And that was kind of a roller coaster of an upbringing that I had, which was good and bad at times. But my father, I used to tell people when I was young that if you looked up entrepreneur in the dictionary, you'd find a picture of my dad. So my dad was super, super entrepreneurial, couldn't work for anybody. I remember we had a very, very tough time where he wasn't bringing any money at all. And I remember my mom brought it up to me in a conversation. So I got mad at my dad. I was just like, why don't you just go get a job? Like, we need money. Why don't you get a job? And he's just like, I can't work for anybody. Like, that's just not what I do. So it definitely comes from my dad. And then I did have another influential person when so I was a tennis coach for a very long time. And tennis coach, even though I worked for a tennis academy, it's kind of an entrepreneurial thing. At least the way I took it was, okay, I have my group lessons that I teach Ash's children and their friends every afternoon from like 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. But from 7 to 9, I could book a court and I could just teach private lessons, where the group lessons I was making like $20 an hour, and the private lessons I was making anywhere from $50 to $80 an hour. So I knew that's where the money was at. So I would go to you, Ash, if your kids were with me, and I'd say, hey, look, your daughter has a lot of potential, and I think that she would benefit very much from private lessons. So I would book up. I was always anywhere I worked, I was always the most booked with the private lessons because I was just always hustling with that. I did sales for a while for Florida International University, local university in Miami, Florida, where it's like it's grown a lot, but at the time it was a much smaller university. And I remember my job was season ticket sales, and I had to sell season tickets. And this is where I got my sales. Was I literally just got a list, And by the way, it was year number 2 of the football team, and the year before they went 0-12. They didn't win any games. So I had to sell, top salesperson there. And then, when I became a public insurance adjuster, that's when, again, it was very like I just had to continue to basically work for myself. I think visionary and entrepreneur, I think they can be two separate things, because I do believe that there's going to be entrepreneurs that are not so visionary, that are more of like integrator type style when you talk in EOS, where they actually need a visionary to sort of help them sort of, get them out to the other end. For me, entrepreneurship is very much like I eat what I kill. So like I have to hustle. I don't make a consistent salary. I have to go and get more. So I think it's very sales heavy. And then the visionary part definitely is something that I've had to grow into, that I've always had naturally, but I think has only gotten better as I have grown as an entrepreneur. And now to the point where, it feels really good, where I have a team. I have a team of about 7, and they honestly, my lead in marketing, Travis, actually put together our entire organizational chart. And it was cool because we never really discussed it, but he put me at the top, obviously, but he put visionary, right? So everyone on the team is fully aware that my job, if they can do as much as possible of the day-to-day, they understand the benefit of me actually having the time to continue moving the ship forward by having the vision and letting them know exactly where they're going. That's all a visionary is being able to not only see it, but also paint the picture so that the entire team is crystal clear about where they're going.
Awesome. And what did happen after you became the insurance adjuster? How did your journey shifted from that point?
Well, I mean, eventually I built a team, right? Eventually I made enough money on my own, working for myself, where I was able to build the team, where I was able to, my first hire was a VA, of just a virtual assistant. And, I was able to just take some stuff off of my plate. Then I was able to bring other adjusters under me, and it just sort of grew from there. And I will tell you, the first time I scaled my company, I got to be honest, Ash, I failed miserably. I almost went bankrupt. I hired incorrectly. I think that there is a specific, and I could share it with you, but there is a step-by-step replacement ladder, is what it's called, where you hire the right people, and you don't get into leadership positions until you've actually filled up all of these roles first. What I did was I hired leadership positions first, or I would hire somebody and I would put them right into a leadership position, because I thought that was the way to take off sort of responsibilities from me. But all it was me being, what's the word I'm looking for? I wasn't confident at the time in myself. I didn't think I was a good leader. And I hired leadership positions because of my reluctance or my fear of actually believing in myself that I am indeed a great leader. And it was bad. We started losing money more than we were making money. I had to start firing a lot of people. I was 2 weeks away from bankruptcy. I had to take a loan out just to save myself from going bankrupt. And then I had to just let a bunch of people go and basically start from scratch. And I would say over the last 2.5 years, I've now built it again, where I actually have a fraction of the amount of people and we're doing double the amount of work. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that.
Cool. And just for the awareness of our listeners, then would you be able to give us a sense of size of your business, where you are in terms of revenue, number of customers, size of team?
Yeah, so I have 3 businesses. I still have the public adjusting firm. We're way more, I mean, we're probably sitting at like 40-50%, like probably like 40% net profit right now. So we're doing really, really well. And we're at about, it's not crazy, probably about between 1.5 and 2 million is what we're at with that company. I've got the virtual product, which is, it's like more recurring revenue. We have a mastermind, we have courses, and we've got private coaching and all kind of books and different things. That one, we're probably netting about, that's probably closer to like 20%, maybe 15%. And that one, we're probably like around $750,000 in gross revenue, I would say. And I'm launching a new company now, which is a brokerage, a business brokerage. That's just starting. So I can't give you many numbers there, but that one is beautiful because that's 3 offers. which is this is the way it should be, right? It's not just a service. We have a product, which is a value clarity report where we put a valuation on your business and we give you a roadmap to continue that growth of your value. Again, value over revenue. That is a product that costs $3,000. Then we have community that we are currently building right now, where we meet every Monday at 3:30 p.m. We've got some courses, we've got some things. That one is roughly about $500 a month to join. And then we've got the actual brokering. So Ash, if you want to sell your business, then basically you hire me. That's the service part, where I broker the deal for 10% of the deal and I find you buyers, I market the company, and so on and so forth. 9 out of 10 brokers only do the brokering part. They don't build the business the way they actually tell their clients to build their business, like or to do it. You should have a productized service, you should have recurring revenue, and then you should have your service. So that's the way we're building it now, and we're doing it as fast as we can. It's never as fast enough for me, but we are growing little by little every day. Like literally, if you looked at my calendar right now, my role right now, we've got 2 administrators, we've got 3 people of marketing team, and we've got leads coming in. And my job right now, I'm in the sales role. All I'm doing right now, Ash, is sales, and leadership. Most of my calendar, 50% of my day, every day, Monday through Friday, is blocked out for sales calls, for leads that come in, for outbound scraping that we do, that I go and I call out, just going through my contacts, going through my messages. Every like, follow, and message that I receive on Instagram, I reach out to them and I say, hey, what are you here for? Just for the content or for one of my products? And now I'm just trying to do that. That's it. And then eventually, once that starts rolling in, then I'm going to hire a team of 2 salespeople. And then I'm at the leadership position after that.
To do that. Yeah, that makes sense. So and this is very helpful because our listeners, around 28% of our listeners are people who are like trying to get out of their 9 to 5 and get into founder space. Let's take a step back. First, let's talk about how you generate leads. Are you creating content? Are you publishing consistent content around the pain points of your customers, or is it more paid advertising? What are the different strategies you use? And then we'll move on to the next part of the sales.
So first, for those that don't do any of that, understand that you have at least 1,000 leads on your phone, in your contact from the people you've known over the years. And you've got Facebook friends, you've got Instagram friends, you've got LinkedIn friends. Like you could build a list of 1,000 just from your phone. Then yes, I do believe you should start creating content. That's what we do. I've been making YouTube content for 5 years. We haven't missed a single Wednesday. Now it was a different industry. It was more public adjusting and insurance. So we've recently made a shift to just entrepreneurs and business owners and founders. So I post on YouTube now. We have my guest show on Mondays. That's my podcast. Wednesday's my solo show. And Fridays, pretty much every Friday, sometimes I don't do it, but pretty much every Friday I go live. YouTube is like my thing. My second, which to me, that's not really social media. My number one social media is definitely Instagram. It's just easy for me to use. The DMs are really, really easier for me. I enjoy it. Then after that, I love Facebook. And then after that, LinkedIn I use. My team is a little bit more involved with the LinkedIn part. It's just always kind of confused me, but I understand that LinkedIn is like super important, especially with the industry I'm getting in. So I'm actually starting now when I'm doing my opens is when I reach out to people on Instagram, I'm also going to LinkedIn and reaching out to people that view my profile and stuff like that. So that is definitely a way you could build organic, but it also builds a little bit of, I think it builds a lot of credibility so that if people find you in an ad, they can go to your social and see that you've got nice, consistent, crystal clear, quality content that you're putting out. But we also run ads, which I mean, I'm sure you would agree. Well, the way we run ads is we're always giving something very valuable away, which is something I have for your listeners too, but we have what's called a value clarity roadmap. So basically, if you were to spend $3,000, it'd be very personalized. We do evaluation on your company. We do your personal readiness, your financial readiness, and your business readiness. Like we give you scores and valuations. This roadmap is a step-by-step 30 to 40 page short book of how you can do it yourself so that you don't have to spend the $3,000 because it's free. So we give that away. We get leads we use Go High Level to really monitor all the leads. And again, anything that comes in, I follow up with, and we're doing pretty good. We just started ads like 3 weeks ago. And we just had a meeting today about it. I think we can make it better. We're going to create a scoring app. I like that better.
Yeah. No, it's scoring and evaluating diagnostic apps, calculators, all these things work really good when it comes to
Yeah.
online lead generation and converting them. Okay, so the first step is clear. You're creating content, you're doing the paid advertisement, and you're doing it consistently, and people can see that you have credibility online for your business space. Once they click on the link or book a meeting with you, what's the procedure afterwards?
Usually it's a one-on-one call, and it's just me to sort of find out about their business and see if they're the right fit. I think it's very important to qualify first. If somebody has been in business for 3.5 months and doesn't generate any revenue, that's not the ideal client for me. Maybe they'd be good for the community to just get an understanding, but chances are they're not going to afford $500 a month to do that anyway. So we're typically looking for over $1 million in gross revenue and at least 3 years in business. If you're any of those things or both of those things, then you're a perfect and ideal candidate for any one of the products or services that we provide. And once the qualification is done, which is just done over a conversation, then I tell them, I said, hey, this is something very interested in. What's your credit card number? I close. I try to close. ABC, always be closing. And that's it. So it's a free consultation call. I answer any questions that they might have, and I try to close them to ultimately purchase the report. They only have to pay half up front. You pay the $1,500, then we schedule a deep dive call. So for 2 hours, we're going to sit down and I'm going to do a very intensive interview with you. And I take that content and I take your profit and loss statements for the last 3 years, also your tax returns for the last 3 years, and I'm able to develop a valuation from there.
Awesome. Great stuff. So that's clear enough. Now let's take a step further. If a new business person or founder or somebody who is already running a business wants to grow their business at a level which right now, let's say they're working check to check, like whatever they make is whatever they spend. There's no profit, zero profit, right? What strategies you would recommend them in 2025 to look into so that they can grow better?
Profit first. There's a book, there's a
Yeah.
way that you should organize your finances. I believe you should start making profit right from the beginning. Try to, right? So the way I have all my accounts for all three of my companies is I have anywhere from 5 to 8 accounts for each company. There's a revenue account, there's a profit account, there's a tax account, there's an operating expense account, and then there's a owner's distribution account. Minimum 5 accounts for every one of my businesses. And whether I make $1 or $100,000 every week, my bookkeeper allocates that dollar towards the different accounts. I think that's very important. Did I answer your question?
That is something which I have read myself too in the Profit First from Mike. It was a pleasure reading that book through my journeys to, going to work or while during the train.
I hired a coach.
That
A Profit
was
First certified coach, because I tried to self-implement with my bookkeeper and we just had some trouble. So I hired a coach and she's been great.
Great stuff. You would be surprised to know that one of the biggest bank we have in UK, which is a very recent bank, it's not like old like Barclays or Lloyds or JP Morgan. It's fairly new, 10 years max old, is actually operating on the basis of Profit First model. The whole
awesome.
bank, right? So you literally register yourself, create an account, open an account, and all the features you find in that bank is exactly what Mike has mentioned in the Profit First book. So
Cool.
that makes our life really easy if somebody wants to follow that pattern for accounting purposes. Great stuff. So Vince, we are clear about your top of the funnel where you generate the leads. We understand about your sales process. We understand your product. Tell us more about your learnings. You said that initially when you started the business, it wasn't going well. What did you learn? So, okay, let's say, because we have limited time, throughout your whole journey, right, an experience, there must have been valuable lessons learned. If you don't mind sharing, could you reflect on your experience and tell us about one mistake or a setback that happened and you encountered along the way that you might not consider as a regret, but as a lessons learned? And then what advice would you give our listeners based on this experience?
I mean, yeah, I can go back to when I almost went bankrupt. The lesson that I learned there is don't just hire just to hire. Be strategic about it. Don't just hire leadership positions. You have to if you have a role that needs to be filled, fill that role, and then make sure that you are doing what you need to do as a leader to give them all the information, the systems, the processes, your vision, paint the picture for them, make sure that you do that right. But man, I gotta be honest, Ash, that came with 16 years of experience.
Mm,
I wish I would have learned it from the beginning, and I read a lot of books, and I even did some coaching. But I think what it really boiled down to ultimately was the switch and the flip in my mindset.
mm,
I literally went from a fear-based mindset to a just more of a courageous-based mindset, where I was making decisions based on fear. When you make decisions based on fear, you never believe in the decisions that you make. You tend to change your mind all the time because you don't believe in that decision that you make. Where when you're making decisions from not from fear, but just from going with your gut and just doing what you think is right, and then sticking to it, or even if you do decide to change, feeling good in your gut about that change as well. It comes down to, honestly, like, really, I think what probably separates most successful entrepreneurs is probably just the awareness, self-awareness. I
mm,
used to think I was self-aware when I was 26 years old, but I don't know what happened between 26 and 40, or like 30 and 40, where I don't know if I took on too much or what, but there was definitely a moment where I just lost a lot of confidence in myself. And I realized it was actually, the hard part about it is that it wasn't in my conscious. In my conscious, I felt that I was self-aware and I was making the right decisions. This is what's right. It was actually deeply rooted in my self-conscious, where it's sort of hard to grasp it. You have to really sit down. You have to meditate, maybe seek therapy, whatever it is, to really start asking the right questions, to pull that out, find out where it's from. Anything that's buried in your subconscious is usually something that you were taught throughout your life and experiences that you've had throughout your life.
mm.
And, once I was able to figure that out, life just gets a lot easier. You're much happier, and you just start you start running your business like with no fear. And when you have no fear, when you are literally not afraid for it, because that's the biggest fear, right? Is not just bad decision making, but losing it all. Like, I had this huge fear of losing all my money. Huge fear.
Mm,
And it's because of my upbringing with my entrepreneurial dad, where literally we'd have times where my dad was rolling in it, and then we'd have long stretches of time on more than 3 occasions where my mom had to work 3 jobs. If not, we would have to sell the apartment that we were living in. So that up and down, that continuous like conversation that we had at home of, hey, don't ask for anything. Hey, this Christmas you're not going to get any of the stuff that you're asking for. Hey, this is what we have to eat today. Pasta and butter is like all we had for a long time. And that instilled this subconscious fear of all of this could be gone tomorrow. I had to like really work on that. And once I was able to work on that, everything sort of changed for me, where like there's really nothing to fear. It's just what we create in our own heads.
mm. It's very powerful that once you change your mindset, the switch, everything changes your real world, and that switch is like, like a virtual world in our brain. I don't know physically if it is possible or not. Like, I'm not a human life science student, but the moment the switch, you trigger that switch, everything changes in your real life, because the perspective changes, the way you operate changes, the action you're taking changes, and the way you make decision changes. That's a big part of our personality, isn't it?
Yes.
Because my partner keeps saying to me that whatever you are right now is the number of decisions you have taken in last 20 years or 10 years. Because whatever the decisions you have taken has made you what you are today. And whatever decisions you're going to take in this 10 years is going to make you whatever in 10 years. And I think that's pretty fierce and clear to me now, that yes, you have to make right decisions. And I have experienced it also, like all the FANG companies. If you have ever interviewed for Google or Microsoft, you might have like learned this in their interviews, that they're very focused on the decisions and the way you make the decisions while they're interviewing you. That's how they figure it out, like, are you a good decision maker or not.
Interesting. I would
Yeah.
even go so far to say, even if you make a bad decision, like that's okay. As long as you make the decision, you go through with it, you figure out it's bad, then you just change course. Like that's okay to
Yeah.
do as well, but just don't do it out of fear. Don't make
Mm.
a decision, then change your mind because you're afraid that the decision that you made isn't going to work. Like, no, see it to the end and see how it goes.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Great stuff. So before moving to our lightning round wins, I wanted to
Mm.
ask you something. So you mentioned that in your mentorship program, you help businesses with understanding if they want to sell it. How do you help them? So I want to touch bases on that. So for example, let's say if I come to you and I want to sell my business, I'm a 70-year-old guy who has a coffee shop, right, in the center of London. I It's making profit, but it taking too much time out of my life. So I'm not really looking forward to put any more time in there. The one thing I want is to get a good deal so that I can sell it, hand it over to somebody else, and then I just like retire or something. What's the step-by-step process, how you help them, and how you make sure that your customers, not just the buyer, but also the seller, are happy?
Yeah, I mean, with the seller in particular, that's mainly my customer. We do have a buyer list that we send them out, businesses, local businesses that are for sale. And then I also keep a buyer's list for when a seller comes to me. My main client is typically the seller. And when a business comes to me, yeah, it's honestly, it's my favorite part about the business is I do build a relationship with the client, with the business owner, to find out where they're at. I mean, if they're 70, late 70s years old, like they just want to get out, like they're done. That's the case, then that's fine. We'd still do a little bit of work in the beginning, but we'll probably just try to put it up for market as soon as we can. With that said, he or she needs to understand that the multiple that they're going to get on that business is probably not one that you are particularly looking for. So typically, your home services business is going to be anywhere from like a 2 to a 6x multiple, while your software business could go up to like a 10x multiple. But let's say home services are pretty hot right now. You know, you're sitting at a 2x multiple on the low end, as opposed
Mm,
to a 4x, 5x multiple on the high end. That's a big difference on $1 million company. You're looking at a $2 million sales price as opposed to a $6 million sales price. Like that's a huge difference.
mm,
But with that said, those are explanations that I have with the business owner. So if it's super owner dependent, that's probably one of the biggest ones. Usually buyers of businesses don't want to buy a business. I'm sorry, they don't want to buy a job. They want to buy a company that's already running so that they
running.
could sort of use their strengths wherever they want. So we'll
Mm,
look at the marketing, I look at the systems and operations, I look at the processes that they have put together. I always look at their website and their Google My Business to make sure that that's looking good. And I'm always talking to the employees. I really want to say, like, how is it working here? Do you know what your role is? Are you very clear as to what you're supposed to do on a daily basis? And then the other thing is, I'll always tell the business owner, like, you need to talk to your employees and let them know what's happening. You want them all on the same page so that for the next month or two, we can get them to put all those SOPs together to make sure that they're transferable to the owner that comes in. We're going to want to make sure that website looks nice, and do all those little things. But ultimately, it's a conversation with the owner. And then one thing that is very important to me, Ash, is the life after exit. I think it's like 75% of owners or of sellers regret their decision 1 year after they sell.
mm,
And that's because there was no plan. So that's where my exit advisor designation comes in, where I don't just ask about the valuation of your business. How much can we sell it? Like, let's talk about you. Like, what's your plans? What are you going to do after you sell the business? You're 78 years old. You've been doing this for 50 years. Like, this is going to be gone. Do you have a plan? Do you have a passion? Is there something that you want to pursue? If it's golf, that's
that's
going to get
fine.
old after a year, or
Mm,
God forbid, and this is a true story, I had a guy who sold his business, and within 3 months, he broke his hip playing golf. So now you
mm,
can't play golf anymore. Now what's your plan? Right? So these are out of the box questions. Have a conversation with the wife, conversation with the kids. Are the kids going to buy the business? Like, we can go on forever on the conversations that I have to try to make sure that they're prepared. And then the last thing is the financial readiness is very important too, because Ash, if you're making, say, $100,000 salary on your business and you sell your business for whatever it is, that money is only going to last you so long. So if you sell it for, say, $1 million, well, guess what? At $100,000 a year, that $1 million is only going to take you so far. And there's other things that you have to pay. A lot of business owners that sell their business actually take a pay cut
mm,
after they sell their business. And that's not good either. You want to be making more. So we establish a wealth goal. How much money do you want to live? How much more do we need to increase this valuation? So It really all depends on the time and how long are they willing to wait to sell it to increase that valuation. And if they're ready to go, then okay, let's prepare you for the worst case scenario. Here's how much you're probably going to get. Here's how much you're going to have when after you retire. And, what are you going to do with it?
And in your opinion, then, as you mentioned a couple of times, that the traditional businesses are like 2x or 3x, but when it comes to software businesses, they're more profitable when it comes to exit. In your opinion, does it make more sense to build software businesses compared to the traditional ones?
There's only one reason why you get 10x multiples on a software business: recurring revenue.
Recurring revenue, yeah.
Besides owner dependency, recurring revenue, it's like a 1A and 1B. Two most important things by far: recurring revenue. And software businesses are typically 100% recurring revenue, where your general contractor, unless you have some kind of subscription model or something in place, you're just getting a client that needs their kitchen repaired. After you do the kitchen, you're out. You don't ever see them again. Whereas software, you're usually paying a monthly fee, and that's what makes software businesses so valuable, is the recurring revenue and low overhead, typically.
Indeed. Great stuff. Well, Vince, thank you so much for sharing all this wisdom. We have our last part of our episode, which is called Lightning Round. We got 6 quick fire questions for you.
Go.
At any point, if you feel you don't want to answer any question, just give me a skip and then we move to the next one. How does that sound?
Hopefully no skips.
Great stuff. Cool. Question number 1. What's the top 3 strategies to generate leads in 2025?
Social media, I believe, ads, Facebook ads in particular, and cold calling, just calling your contact list, I think is still something that people don't do.
What time a founder should start thinking about the exit? Is it the start of the business, middle of the business, end of the business?
Start of the business. Like right from the start, you should be thinking about everything that you do. You should be recording it on Loom or wherever it is, and then creating an SOP so that eventually you could bring somebody in to do it. You should have a nice website. You should be already thinking about what we call the agency model, which is like have a product of your service. So whatever it is that whatever thing that you do, whatever service you provide, there's usually something on the onboarding that you do with them, right? Some kind of valuation or some kind of an assessment that you do. Like, don't do it for free. Charge for that. So now you got a product there. Try to find some kind of recurring revenue right off the bat, whatever subscription model, recurring revenue, whether it's a community or just something. Think about it. Ask ChatGPT, ask AI, like, what can you do? And then your service. And once you get those things, your SOPs and your systems, that's going to get you away from the business so that you can start hiring so it's not owner dependent, and then get yourself a product, recurring revenue, and your service right from the beginning.
Awesome. What one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Confidence and self-awareness.
What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
My favorite personal productivity tool or habit? Using ChatGPT and exercising.
That makes sense. What's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
Oh, wow. A new or something in the AI space. I use it in the brokerage and I use it with all my businesses, but it would be cool. Some kind of new, crazy, obviously AI-centric idea would be awesome. I don't know what it is though.
Great stuff. What's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
I've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and I've climbed to to Everest Base Camp. And in January, in 4 months, I will be climbing Mount Aconcagua in Argentina, which is the largest mountain in South America. So that's 3 out of the 7. 4 more to go.
Awesome. That's great. I became a fan of you now.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Great, Vince. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story, unpacking the years of building these businesses and ups and downs. If people want to get in touch with you, they want to check out your website, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, I'm easy now. VincePerry.com, Vince Perry Official on YouTube, Vince Perry Official on Instagram, Vince Perry on Facebook. So just type in my name and you'll find me.
Awesome. Vince, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your, inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing through helping founders. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
Thank you, Ash.